Hi, everybody. Welcome back to In the Cards and Stars. I'm your host, Britt Madrid Mogensen. And tonight we have a very interesting episode for you guys. It is not the usual. This episode has been inspired by true events. So hold on to your hats. This one's kind of crazy. We are going to be talking about what happened with the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, and Luigi Mangione. Of course, we all know what happened. We're not living under a rock here. Everybody's talking about it. And I didn't really plan to get into it, to be honest with you guys, just because, we've dabbled in some true crime tarot tea here. Shout out to Lawyer Moog for the legality that he has spilled. But I wasn't really planning on getting into it. However, we actually, let me back up a little bit. So Jupiter's been in my fifth house. Gemini rules my fifth house. Wherever Jupiter is, you're lucky. With the fifth house, it's like you're lucky when it comes to getting a breakthrough in like fun things or romance, things like that, right? Because that's what the fifth house rules. Well, we were watching TV a couple weeks back, watching The Colbert Show, which I really like. And I lied, probably more like a month ago. We were watching the show. And there was like a little thing that came up that said, if you want to be in the audience, fill out this information, go to One Iota, whatever. And Michael was already asleep. And I was like, that would be so much fun. Like, probably won't win, but wouldn't that be cool? Like, literally just like a whim, right? Jupiter steering the ship. So I just put in my information and forgot about it, honestly. I get an email a couple weeks ago that was like, you've been selected to be in the audience on Monday. December 16th. So, you guys, astrology in the wild moment. That's the first part that's bizarre. Oh, there's more. There's more. That has nothing to do with the CEO, but that's why we're here in New York City. So, we're going to go to the Colbert Show. At the time of recording this, we're going to go tomorrow during the day. I'm excited. And then the next day, we record with Leora, who you guys have met before. Leora Luciano, she has an amazing podcast. What's your skincare routine? I always have to shout it out because she's just like the nicest person and she's so talented and really does have the best skincare and like makeup and lifestyle advice. So anyway, I could go on, but I'll save that for the next episode. And then we're going to go home. So that's what we're doing. So we're having a fun little time here. Went to Rockefeller Center today, saw the tree. It's been great. So here is where things get weird. We pick a hotel, a Marriott hotel, because we have like Marriott Bonvoy points, and that's just where we stay. Whenever we go anywhere, we like to stay, with Marriott so we can get the points and all that. And Michael was like, okay, like you pick the hotel. There were a few different options. And I was like, well, this is like a Christmas trip for us. It's gonna be our Christmas present to ourselves. Let's do it up. Let's stay somewhere nice and just have like a really fun trip, just the two of us get away. However, our really good friends also stayed at this same hotel a couple of weeks ago. When they come in New York, this is like the place where they stay. And they know all the staff here. And they're like actually friends with them. Like they when they were here, they brought them a Christmas card and they told them that we were coming here and our names and like all this stuff. Just really sweet, like take good care of us and all that. So my friend Vanessa, she got the inside tea from the staff that she's friends with, and they told her that this is actually the place where the late CEO Brian Thompson was staying. And in all of the coverage of his murder, they just had like a hotel, Manhattan Hotel, Midtown Manhattan Hotel. Like it didn't say the name of the hotel. And I'm sure that, that had to be strategic because the hotel doesn't want bad press, right? So I'm not going to say the name of the hotel here, but if you're a member, we're going to go a little deeper in members only. I'm also going to show you guys like a hotel room tour and stuff. And we're going to get into it. And I'll tell you guys the name and all that in the members only. But I'm not going to say it here just because I feel like, the people that work here are so nice and I wouldn't want to like give them any bad publicity or whatever, or keep people from coming here. Although who knows, maybe it would make people want to come here. So this is where he was staying. Okay. I thought that was creepy, right? I was like, oh no, like that's really creepy, but we're already coming is what it is. This is where we're going to stay. So then she was like, where he passed away was literally like on the street. Like it's very close. So we walked by it. I actually filmed a little bit and there were some other women filming as well. And they were looking at the footage and like, it's a thing around here right now. Obviously, it's a big deal that what happened. Before we get any further, obviously, like I don't condone murder. Like, that's not something that I'm about. We do not condone that around here. However, I do understand people's feelings of just frustration and feeling like something needs to change and feeling like this event was symbolic of the possibility of things changing. It's very Pluto and Aquarius, which we've been talking about. This was going to be shifting, things were going to be changing, the people were going to be rising up. It has like a little bit of a revolution vibe. And I think that's going to play out in different ways. But this, I mean, I didn't expect for this to happen so close to the November 19th, shift, but here we are. So we're going to talk about the astrology also of like what was going on that day. We're going to talk about the numerology, all of that. But anyway, long story short, it's like very close. And we actually, in order to get to like some of the places that we were going today, we have to like walk that same path and then walk back. And it's very creepy. So this evening we were coming back from Rockefeller Center where the tree was, and we walked by like where it looked like kind of the spot was, but I wasn't 100% sure. Like I've read about it, I've heard about it, we've all seen it, but I hadn't like looked really closely at like where exactly, where it happened on the street and like what that street looks like 100%. So I'm standing in this spot and I told Michael, I'm like, okay, let's pull over because people are walking. I'm like, let's pull over to the side and like, I'm just curious to see like where did it happen? So we're standing there, we're looking, and Michael goes, oh, exactly where you're standing. That's where it happened. And I was like, okay. And I just had like this creeped out feeling, just like, and I filmed it a little bit, and then I just, like, felt so weird, and so then we walked back. We go into go to the hotel, and I'm like, "That is just so it's just so weird," right? That was, like, this person's last walk. So then the room that we get put in, it's a 9 energy room, and you guys know, we know about the 9 energy from Liam Payne. So this I don't know, guys. This whole trip, and I will tell you guys more in the members only. I don't wanna I don't want to scare any newbies or, light tea drinkers, but in the members only, we shall spill it all. But it's just been bizarre. Okay. It's been bizarre. And so I was like, well, I already wanted to do like something about it when I realized like, oh, we're going to be in New York this week. Like, I want to do that, a little bit of true crime. But then once we got here and I found out all the other details and I didn't really realize he was staying here. I thought that we were actually staying across from where it happened, but I didn't realize he was staying at this hotel. I thought it was like at the Hilton Hotel. That was where the conference was. That's not where he was staying. So it's just been like weird. It's like we're in even deeper. So this is obviously the place where you want to cover this type of story. So here we are. Here we are on location. Let's get into it. Let's start with the numerology of what happened, and let's just talk about the numerology, the astrology. We're going to pull a couple cards, and then I'm going to continue this in the members only to do an extended deep dive room tour and to spill some more tea on other creepy things that have happened. Here we go. Now, here's just kind of like a quick overview. I know there's been like a lot of coverage, a lot of information about what happened. So here's just a little refresher before we dive into the numerology, their birth dates, the astrology, all those things. So Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, was killed on Wednesday, December 4th, 2024. He was fatally shot outside the New York Hilton Midtown Hotel in Manhattan, where he was attending an investor conference. That's why I thought he was like staying at the Hilton. He was not. The suspect, identified as 26-year-old Luigi Mangione, was arrested on December 9th, 2024, in Altoona, Pennsylvania. He has been charged with second-degree murder and other related offenses in connection with Thompson's death. Thompson's untimely death has sparked widespread discussion about the U.S. healthcare system and the role of insurance companies. Pluto and Aquarius, Mercury and Sagittarius retrograde at the time of the shooting as well. Many have expressed their views on social media, highlighting systemic issues and calling for reforms. Very interesting. And that is the Financial Times. Let's talk about the dates. Okay, so December 4th. The first thing that stands out to me when we look at this, like just numerology wise, 4 is the energy of restriction, of structure, systems, the foundation of something, the house. It has very Capricorn energy. It's all about building. And you guys know from last week's episode when we talk about 4 energy, it's kind of a harsh number, right? It's like it's about Saturn, and you have to hold your nose to the grindstone as you build your way through a 4 energy. It's interesting to me that that was the day that this occurred, because to me that symbolizes the death of that, the death of the structure, the death of the system. Okay. And I know this is going to sound a little wild to some people, but that's what we do here. Okay. We're gonna break it down according to the numerology and astrology, and it is pretty spot on. The breakdown, the passing away of that energy. And then December 9th was when Luigi was actually arrested and charged And nine energy, as we know, and as we talked about last week, is all about transformation, letting go, breaking things down so you can build them back up, the phoenix rising. It's also about self sacrifice, humanitarianism. So, the interesting thing about nine is that nine is ruled by Mars. So, people with a lot of nine energy can be kind of hot headed. It's something that they have to work through. Okay, can confirm. Okay, like they can be a little fiery, like it's, and if they want something, if they're motivated to get something, Mars energy rules the number nine, so they will move forward. Now, on the negative side, Mars energy, going in the wrong direction can be warlike, can be murderous, I mean, Mars is all about war. So there's that aspect of it. And a murder, that could fall certainly under nine energy, because not only is nine associated with Mars, but it's also about the passing away of the breaking down of old structures. It's the most spiritual number. It's the end of the line. We go one through nine, then we start again at one. So it's the end of a cycle, right? So the numerology around these dates is already, I just got goosebumps. Like, it's so symbolic. It's so interesting that that is the vibration around it. Now, I wanted to also look up their birthdays, and we don't have their birth times. I'm not going to do a full birth chart on them just because, maybe we'll look at it in the members only, but I feel like because of the nature of the situation, I just want to talk about it more in like generalities. I feel like it's very fresh. So, maybe when things cool down a little bit, actually, I would be interested in looking at Luigi's specifically. I feel kind of weird looking at Brian Thompson's, but we can just look at their birth dates, okay? Oh, and before I do that, one more thing about nine energy. So, nine energy can be like on the positive side, generous, compassionate, tolerant, broad minded, visionary, spiritually aware, insightful about the collective, and like Luigi, out of what he had to say was about the collective, right? It was about like healthcare reforms and how people are suffering and not getting coverage and really struggling, at the hands of these few people who are profiting from not having to provide, coverage for these people, and saving billions of dollars a year by denying people coverage and access to life-saving medications that will provide comfort when they are, in a lot of pain, just all kinds of stuff. I mean, a lot of suffering, right? So that's very nine energy to want to alleviate that suffering. Also, some of the challenges of the nine energy can be overly idealistic or impractical, may struggle with letting go of the past or of things that have been done to them that they perceive as wrong. There's that Mars energy. There's also this ability to fall into disappointment if your expectations aren't met as a nine. And then they can also be self sacrificing to a fault, and just self sacrificing in general, right? So for Luigi, his arrest on December 9th, I believe, was very symbolic of a self sacrifice. I do not think he's going to be getting out of jail. I mean, I think that, he sacrificed his life to the cause as well. So, okay, let's keep it moving. Luigi Mangione was born on May 6th. That makes him a Taurus. So, Taurus people are stubborn, like the bull, fixed modality, ruled by Venus. So, Venus, I think, adds another layer of idealism, of a desire for harmony. So you guys know, if you know anyone with Taurus placements, once they have their mind set on something, it's going to happen. There is no stopping the bull. I mean, bullheaded is something associated with bulls and the Taurus energy for a reason. And that can be channeled for good, right? Or for bad. It just depends on how you want to look at it. It also depends on how they use it. They also are very much drawn to material wealth and things like that. So it's interesting to me that he came from a very wealthy family. It's also interesting to me that he was able to see the other side of the coin through his own back injury and got to experience a lot of things. I just feel like he got to see things from two sides. Like, he was able to see what it's like to have a lot of money, and maybe even be more closely associated with people who are like Brian Thompson, who maybe don't have those same concerns. And then at the same time, experienced hardship and um, a debilitating back injury and was exposed to what happens in the healthcare system firsthand and what so many people struggle with. They're just very committed. They're very determined, very committed. The late CEO of United Healthcare was born on July 10th. So July 10th is a 1 degree Cancer energy. Oh, I forgot. Dang it. Sorry, guys. It's been a long day. Can you tell? I'm all over the place. I forgot to say Luigi is a Taurus, but he's also a 6 energy Taurus. And 6 energy is associated with Venus, also responsibility and family. It's interesting that he is not close with his family right now. I feel like that would be extremely difficult for a 6 energy. People born on the 6th tend to get married very young, sometimes even like their high school sweetheart. This is something I've seen consistently with people born on the 6th. If you guys know anybody born on the 6th, let me know if they got married young. Um, but it's interesting. And for people who go through things and, feel like they're not living out their number, I think it would be very difficult. So I do see him as someone who is maybe struggling to live his 6 energy, his Taurus. Like if I met someone and I didn't know them at all, but I knew that they were born on, as a 6 energy Taurus, I would definitely think of them as someone who's probably very wealthy, who has a strong family, a lot of family ties, maybe gets married young, could even work for the family business. But they are very much motivated by wealth and the creation of wealth. And I feel like this back injury of his took him off course, but in a different direction to possibly be a cycle breaker of sorts, And again, I don't want to like condone murdering. I certainly don't think that that's okay to do. I think that we are in an interesting time period, though, where the actions of certain people are going to raise topics that are worth discussing, right? And reforms that are worth looking at. So I do think, in a way, he stepped out of the norm, and I think that's interesting. I think that's really interesting that he kind of was living counter to his astro-numerology of his, like, date of birth, and I feel like that could drive someone to, this sounds so strange, but, like, step out of the matrix or something. It's almost like he stepped outside of his usual thing because of, maybe I will look at his birth chart later. But anyway, so when we look at Brian Thompson, we see that he's a 1 energy Cancer. Now, fun fact about Cancer, Cancer is associated with the 28th degree in astrology. And the 28th degree is known as the millionaire degree. So, as much as a lot of Cancer people have this reputation for being very touchy-feely, and they do tend to have large families, they do tend to be a caretaker of sorts. Something interesting about them is that they also, I just got goosebumps. Oh my God. Is that they also are right across from Capricorn. So, kind of hidden within every Cancer is an extremely ambitious person that desires to lead. Sometimes they lead from the back, but they lead nonetheless. So, and also, a thing about Cancers is they can become leaders quietly, through quietly going up the ranks. They're like the person that is working really hard behind the scenes, and then all of a sudden they pop out and they're like extremely successful, and you just like didn't even notice because they don't lead with their Mars type of energy or like that Saturn vibe, like their, opposite um, sister sign, Capricorn, who really has the ambition and all of that in the front. But because they are on that same axis, it's like whatever's hidden within them, it's really a lot of Capricorn energy, basically. And then with Capricorn, vice versa. Within every Capricorn is a nurturer and someone who desires to be loved. Sometimes our greatest desires can be revealed by our sister sign. It's like what we have within us, but we're still developing, or we're like reaching for, or it doesn't come quite as easily to us, but we are capable of getting that. So with him, I do think that a lot of his life, just based solely on his sun sign and knowing that he was born on July 10th, which is a 1 energy, this is someone who probably was very focused on money and very focused on that Capricorn energy, especially ruled by the one. One is associated with Aries. And I just see this as someone who, it makes sense. The millionaire degree, um, the millionaire association with Cancer. A lot of Cancers can become millionaires, and just the issues with the family. Like, there's just a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot to unpack there, but that's just like a little snippet. So let's pull a couple of cards and see what we get, and then we're gonna hop over to the members only to dive a little deeper. Let's start with Luigi. We know that he wrote a manifesto. We know that a lot of people are thirsting over him. We know that there are a lot of rumors about his family. Let's just pull some cards. Can we get a feel? Can we get a feel for his vibe? I'm just going to, and I'm holding a microphone, so doing this a little bit different this time. Just like feeling for it. Okay, interesting. The Knight of Cups in reverse for Luigi. The Knight of Cups in reverse. Okay, so you know how I was saying it seems like he was living in a way that was almost counter to his nature? Like something happened to him and it kind of like shot him out of the matrix, where like he wasn't living his six energy Taurus anymore. I would say this Knight of Cups, because the Knight of Cups, this is like someone very like romantic, bringing someone a gift. This would 100% be associated with someone who gets married young. I feel like this is his like nature. In reverse, this talks about breaking out of the mold, not living the way that he expected to. I just had goosebumps on my arms, like confirmation, you guys. Not living the way that he was expected to live. I think he even surprised himself. Okay. Seven of Pentacles. Spiritual work. Okay. So that leads me to my next comment about the astrology. All right, let me pull up the astrology of the day that the murder occurred. Okay. So on this day, by the way, Seven of Pentacles. Can you guys believe that? Doing spiritual work. I mean, okay. On this day, you gotta love New York City. We'll let it pass. Okay. So on this day, Jupiter was in Gemini in retrograde motion, right across from the Sun in Sagittarius, which was squaring Pisces, and Mercury in Sagittarius, opposing Jupiter, which was retrograde. Okay, what does that mean? Well, I'll tell you. So, Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius opposing Jupiter, this aspect can lead to challenges in communication and the need to reassess beliefs. Beliefs. Pluto in Aquarius at the same time. This is about those beliefs around revolution. I mean, this was really like agitating and challenging the current status quo. And I don't know about you guys, but I found this Mercury retrograde. I always try to make the best of it, which, we made it. We're good. It's over. Thank you. So happy. But it was a little bit intense because this one was really challenging our beliefs and the way that we see the world and the way that we view things that are going on. I mean, how many weird things happened during this time? I mean, too many to count. Too many to count. It was just bizarre. The news cycle was bizarre. And this event was one of the bizarre things that made everyone think, made us all talk, made us think about the way that we think, reassess our beliefs. And Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius opposing Jupiter in Gemini, while Jupiter was also retrograde. I mean, and Jupiter makes things bigger. So this was like really amplifying our rethinking of things. And because Sagittarius in astrology rules our big ideas and our philosophies and like globally, like the way that we think globally about like the systems and the way that we think about our philosophies and how we approach life and how we approach our beliefs, like our personal beliefs, like all of that stuff was under review. And this was like all activated during this bizarre time. Okay, we also had the Sun in Sagittarius squaring Saturn in Pisces. Okay. And we still are under that influence right now. But this can create a feeling of restriction or needing to get serious around certain topics, certain things going on in our lives and like collectively as well. And this is confronting your responsibilities, potentially causing, a sense of heaviness at times. This reminds me of that 4 energy that we talked about with Brian, like, on the day of the murder. I mean, 4 energy is Saturn. So Saturn and Pisces, this is like Pisces wants to flow, Pisces wants to believe and have the unconditional love and creativity and the 2 fish swimming in opposite directions, all that stuff. But with the sun squaring Saturn, it's like it just feels really difficult. It feels hard to know which beliefs to hang on to, which beliefs to let go of. So this is sort of like a sense of figuring things out, and it does feel kind of heavy. It does feel kind of karmic, and it can feel kind of draining too, a little bit draining and confusing. Pisces can also make us feel a little bit confused. So I think that's why all of this seemed just a little bit confusing and strange and kind of wild. Like nothing like this has really ever happened before, right? And like the way that people are feeling, the way that CEOs are thinking, like there was one company that wanted to possibly right around this time, they wanted to stop paying for like anesthesia past a certain amount of time while people were in surgery, which obviously that's like not okay, right? That's not acceptable. Like, come on. Um, and once this happened, they took that off the table. They're not going to do that anymore. So there was a real restriction. There was a real like figuring out like what's okay, what's not okay. There was a kind of a sense of fear in the air as well for a lot of these CEOs and all of these people who have been doing things. There's a lot of greed. There's a lot of greed out there, and so it made people think. It made people second guess their behaviors. It definitely made people think about what they're doing and why. We also just having Pluto and Aquarius in general is it's intense, and I thought it was gonna be more about the presidential election. I think now that I'm seeing, like, the big picture, I feel like Pluto and Aquarius is definitely gonna be more about giving the power back to the people, like, for real. Like, we're the ones that are gonna have to decide. We're the ones that are going to have to help and show up. Quick side note, with, like, the animal shelter stuff going on in Dallas, like, they have, like, no funding right now, right? So it's like, it's not the government that's going to help those animals right now, right? It's the people. It's the people around. It's the volunteers. It's the adopters, the fosters. Like, that's what's gonna make change. So it's interesting to me because the same thing with like Luigi, like I don't know that the government's necessarily going to step in right now and make these changes and like force these healthcare companies to cover people and to change their ways. It might be more like fear of backlash from the people, like the power shifting back to the people. And that's how Pluto and Aquarius is starting to stir things up already. I mean, I knew we knew it was gonna be something weird, didn't we? But, like, we just didn't know how it was gonna play out because Pluto breaks things down before building things back up, before really creating transformation. And here we go, by the way, guys, into a 9 energy universal year in 2025. This is gonna be a really big year of letting go of old outdated beliefs for us, like, as a collective. Old outdated beliefs. We're going to be in 9 energy. It doesn't mean like, the world's going to end, nothing like that, but it might mean that the way that we look at certain things ends. It might mean that we have to do away with old belief structures and like really look at things. It's a humanitarian number though. So if people embrace each other, embrace brotherhood, sisterhood, community, working together, it's going to be a good year. It really will. And we each individually have the chance to say, like, okay, I'm going to embrace that. But if we fight it and we just care about our own self interest, it would be a really bad year. Right. So I just think this year is going to be really good for those who want to work with each other, who care about each other. I think it's going to be a really bad year or a weird year for people who are self-centered. That's just my prediction. Also, I was just thinking, there's no way I'm going to sleep tonight in this hotel. Okay. Oh my god. All right. So interesting. We have the spiritual work. Definitely, I think this sparked discussion around morality, around spirituality. It definitely kind of like it aggravated the not aggravated, but like it brought up the planetary themes so that we as a collective consciousness could talk about them. And again, I'm not like condoning this behavior, but I am just pointing out what we're seeing. And it is interesting. It is astrology in the wild, happening and unfolding right before us. Other things, I know I did mention that we had Mercury finally going direct today. Thank you. So glad you guys. Now we're gonna start to kind of straighten things back out and move forward again. So excited about that. And also, we had the full moon in Gemini today, and that energy is more about embracing the truth. Gemini is right across from Sagittarius, and it is part of that whole story of examining our beliefs. But Gemini is about communication and the way that we share information, and Sagittarius is more about where Mercury is retrograding, is more about our belief systems and like big ideas and our hopes and dreams and wishes and like generosity and like just these like big ideas. And Gemini is more about like actually communicating those ideas and taking action, like making things happen in like a very community oriented way. So it's like it's just all about our interactions like socially, how we fit in, who we're friends with, like who we're communicating with, what media we consume, what we believe about ourselves, what we believe about who we are and like what we want and what we think we're capable of. Like it was very much about thinking, thinking, thinking. And the reason that Gemini is involved, I didn't mention this, but the reason Gemini is involved is because Mercury rules Gemini and also rules Virgo. So it was a lot. It was a lot. This was a very communication heavy. If you were doing like any overthinking, don't feel bad. I think we all were. That's like what this was. So now we're moving forward though. Thankfully, everything is direct. We had the full moon. So hopefully, actually, I'm not going to say hopefully, I know everything was illuminated. Like we see the light now. At the time you guys are listening to this, the energy is picking up again. Things are going to start opening up again. Things are going to change. We're going to see a new direction. Gemini is all about duality. So we may go in a totally different direction in the next 2 weeks. We may be like, oh, okay, I finally have clarity on that. And we may go strongly in a direction that we wanted to go on, but like things were on pause during the retrograde. So just expect for the next 2 weeks things to really pick up and it's going to be positive, very positive. So, we should all be feeling a little bit lighter. So I already feel it. I totally already feel the shift. It was heavy. It was heavy. Okay. So let's go on. Now I feel like we've got the astrology covered. Let's go on. What else can we get about Luigi? I don't know, just anything. I just want to see what comes through. The best friend of the year awards, the 6 of wands. Okay. What is interesting is a lot of his friends, former classmates, have been talking about him in the media and they've all talked about what a nice person he is, how much they liked him, how surprised they were to see that this happened. Um, People were even worried about him at one point because they weren't hearing from him. And a lot of people speculated this was due to his back pain, like that was debilitating. And if you guys have ever like known anybody with back pain, like it really is bad. It really is. So like that's major. That's just something terrible to go through. Huh. Something about his friends. I think they're just talking about the fact that he's a good friend. This is really an interesting reading. Okay. What else? What else about it? Why was he at that McDonald's? A lot of people want to know like if he was at the McDonald's because he was trying to get caught. Let's just see. Allegedly, for entertainment purposes only, if I haven't already said that. Why was he at the McDonald's that day? Was he trying to get caught? Was it an accident that he got caught? Like, I just want to know. The world card. Ooh, okay. He wanted to be out in the world. Why? The Queen of Wands, fiery, feeling creative, feeling inspired. Did he want to get caught? The Five of Wands, competitive. Hmm. This is gonna sound weird. This is alleged for entertainment purposes only. I think that he wanted to this is kind of like wanting to get caught, wanting to be challenged, wanting to and then with the Queen of Wands there too, it's like you want and then the world. Yeah. It's like wanting to make contact with the world, like wanting to be able to share your perspective, your story. It's sort of like when I'm not saying this is him, but it's sort of like when I interviewed Dr. Burgess, who was one of the people who was instrumental in the development of the FBI profiling techniques for serial killers. She's such a fascinating person. The Hulu documentary Mastermind is about her. So if you guys haven't seen that yet and you like true crime, you've got to watch it. But she talked about how a lot of these people that do these types of things, these, outliers that commit crimes and murder specifically, there is an element for some people of them wanting to get caught or enjoying the back and forth with law enforcement or like the game. It's almost like they get this thrill from it. And that's what this looks like to me. The world card, wanting contact with the world, wanting to share. Yeah, I just got goosebumps. Wanting to share your story, wanting to share your mission, your message, your manifesto. He had a manifesto in his freaking pocket. Okay. So, yeah, I would say the answer is yes. He did want to get caught. He absolutely did. By the way, Pluto is at and has been at 0 degrees Aquarius since it entered Aquarius. So that is like the complete fresh start, the Fool card. So this is all about creating a blank slate. All right, this is as much shuffling as I can do. Anything else about him? We have the 8 of Wands. Things are up in the air right now, but they are moving quickly. The Star card reversed. Ooh. The Star card, Aquarius is associated with the Star card. I feel like he went too far. Yeah. Those 5 of Swords reversed, though. This is about exposing injustices. I think more is going to come out. I do think that this trial is going to become a like really a really big point of like communication for people to discuss like 5 of Swords, like injustices, times where they actually dealt with issues where they felt bamboozled by either government entities um or healthcare companies or just our healthcare system in general. Like they have felt this and people are going to start sharing and communicating that 5 of Swords, what's been hidden is going to come to light. I also think that he's going to really be talking about his feelings, about his beliefs. I think we're going to learn a lot more about him through this trial. And the Star card reverse, this is like not going to be, I don't know. There's going to be something a little bit off about it. We're going to feel, everyone's going to feel a little bit weird about it. But that is the Aquarius card. So Pluto and Aquarius. There's something about it. I think we're going to realize that there's a better way to go about it, right? There's a better way to move these Aquarian themes forward. And that ultimately, like, the message is correct. The delivery is probably not something that we want to, get behind. But I do think there was a lot a lot of good in that message. And I think that people are going to be able to receive that, which is really interesting. Really interesting. This is so Sagittarius, by the way. Like Sagittarius is known as the very philosophical traveler, the person who has all these big ideas. And then on the negative side, they can become like the religious zealot, the cult leader. So I do think that and with Pluto also in Aquarius, like moving in right at that time, there was just like a lot of energy there. So I do see how things could be extreme. Also across from Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, you can see how beliefs would get blown out of proportion. Now, luckily, Mercury has gone direct. So I think that we're going to see where things are going to calm down a little bit. But it was very dicey there for a second. Okay, guys, I love you so much. Let me know what you guys think. I'm so curious to hear what your thoughts are about this particular case, the situation. Luigi Mangione, are you a Luigi fan? Are you I'm kidding. But, it's interesting. It's just a very interesting case, and I'm going to hop over to the members only to dive a little bit deeper into what's going on. Okay, guys, I will see you in another episode very soon. Take care.